Not yet. All right. Can be heard now? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, good. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, I was saying we're sorry that we are a bit late. We thought we should have started this earlier. We are meeting because we wanted to give you a brief report on what we have been able to do as government since the Garissa crisis started. As you all know that we have various departments of government, and interministerial team was put in place by His Excellency the President, and we have been working jointly and coordinating a number of government actions in relation to the crisis. I'm going to invite my colleague, Cabinet Secretary for Defense, to make a statement, and we will all be available to respond to whatever questions you may have. I also need to point out to you that even as we have this press conference this morning, we have another government activity going on. That's why our two colleagues, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury, is not here, because they are also involved in another equally very important government activity. But those of us who are here will do our best to respond to whatever issues that you may have to raise as we make a report to you and to the country on what we have been able to do in the last number of days when this crisis took place. Rachel, please. You can't just read.
I read the statement as follows. The government wishes to express our sympathy and sincere condolences to the families, relatives and friends of all those who lost their loved ones following the tragic attack at Garissa University. As we continue to mourn, we also extend our gratitude to Kenyans of all walks of life for their unwavering support, goodwill and cooperation following the unfortunate terrorist attack at the Garissa University College on Thursday, the 2nd of April 2015. We also commend our security agencies for responding promptly and launching rescue operations that culminated in saving lives. Following the attack, 123 students were killed in their dormitories, while others were shot and killed as they tried to escape, bringing the death toll on the first day of the attack to 142. The number of fatalities constituted 65 female and 77 male students. The number of students rescued were 613 and 50 members of staff. As of Thursday last week, 75 injured survivors were admitted to hospital, 25 of them to the Garissa Level 5 hospital, and the rest were airlifted to Nairobi for high-level medical care. In Nairobi, the casualties were admitted as follows. At Kenyatta National Hospital, 27. At the Aga Khan University Hospital, 8. At the Moi Forces Memorial Hospital, 15. As of yesterday, Tuesday, the 7th of April 2015, 47 of the victims had been discharged from hospital, while 28 are still admitted and undergoing medical care. Those who had been admitted at the Garissa Level 5 hospital have all been discharged. Immediately after the attack, the Ministry of Health sent 240 pints of blood and deployed a team of surgeons and anesthesists to the Garissa Level 5 hospital. A truckload of medical supplies was also dispatched to the hospital on the same day. In the wake of the attack, the Ministry of Devolution and Planning facilitated the transportation of survivors to the respective counties on National Youth Service buses and helped in providing accommodation at the Kenya School of Government in Nairobi for those who could not get to their counties for the first 2 nights. Additionally, a few victims' parents who were also unable to meet their own accommodation expenses were also catered for at the Kenya School of Government. Garissa University College also provided a cash allowance to facilitate incidental expenses of the surviving students. In addition, the Ministry of Health facilitated the provision of psychosocial support services, whilst the Ministry of Devolution and Planning, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, also mobilized experts to the Nyayo National Stadium who provided similar assistance throughout the period. The government also facilitated the transfer of bodies from Garissa to Nairobi. Regarding the identification of fatalities, 128 of the 142 bodies collected from the scene of the shooting have so far been identified through meticulous scientific fingerprinting matching processes facilitated by the Civil Registration Department involving 25 government pathologists. The process of identifying the remaining 14 is set to be completed by the end of the day today. All postmortems have also been done as required, and the temporary crisis center at the Nyayo National Stadium has been closed. The remaining services have now been transferred to Chiromo. The Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, through Garissa University, have pledged to support the victims with Kenya shillings 100,000 for each affected family. The money will be issued after the bodies have been properly identified through funeral committees of the university. Further, transport and all funeral expenses will be catered for by the government. Regarding the resumption of learning, the students who survived in the attack will be absorbed by the Moi University and will not be required to pay any additional fees. The University Senate will also meet to ratify the transfer of the students. The government, under the leadership of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, has put into place elaborate security and administrative measures to extinguish terrorism on Kenyan soil. These wide-ranging efforts include the freezing of all assets suspected to have been linked to the masterminds of the terrorist attack. Members of the public should also remain vigilant to help forestall any further terrorism attacks and security breaches. We wish, as the government, to appreciate the following individuals and organizations who assisted us during this difficult time. We note the Area Member of Parliament and his colleagues from the region for their dedicated focus and support to government efforts during the crisis. The Governor and County machinery for providing shelter and other infrastructural support to facilitate the evacuation of survivors. The Kenya Red Cross for their continued collaboration with and support of various government departments. AMREF for evacuating some of the injured for treatment in Nairobi. Regional, African and world leaders for their solidarity and moral support during this difficult time. We also wish to thank Kenyans from all walks of life for their sacrifices, for the efforts they have made to lighten the burden of our brothers and sisters who have been so badly affected by this crisis. I thank you.
Okay, we will take a few questions. We will take a few questions from you. I would request that. Thank you. Yeah, we will take a few questions from you. As I said earlier, His Excellency the President directed an interministerial effort to address all aspects of this crisis, and therefore all the government departments are represented here, and we don't mind taking a few questions from you. Yes, please.
From NTV, my question goes to the. My name is Enoch Sikolia from NTV. My question goes to the Cabinet Secretary for Defense. There are questions that are still in the public domain about the lapses that were there in response, given that the Reke company arrived there hours after the attack, and yet they were alerted at 6 a.m. in the morning, but they arrived there very late when it was too late to save many lives. What happened? That's the question that is still there. Number two, you've talked about the issue of the government coming up with security measures to deal with terrorism in the country. It was the same tune after Mpeketoni. The same tune was repeated in several attacks. What are these measures? Kenyans are still waiting to see the measures that the government has really put in place to ensure that terrorism is actually combated.
We can take two more before we respond, so that we can make very good use of our time.
Okay, my name is Kena. My question goes to the AG. In pertaining the issue of the court order on the police recruitment. Yeah, in pertaining that.
What about it?
The contempt of court issue.
What about
it? Respect to the rule of law, the government in reaction to the judiciary.
The issue is in court, and we've seen the courts already now saying, the judiciary is saying nobody should talk about it until they make their ruling. The other question again to the Cabinet Secretary of Defense is on what you've talked about, freezing the assets of these masterminds. Are these the hawalas and forex bureaus that have been frozen? And have they been frozen because you have evidence that these are masterminds of this Garissa attack or terrorism in general? And all these accounts related to that.
Very good. Lastly, before we answer this batch of questions, yes, please.
My name is Aaron Ocheng from KTN. We just wanted to know, there are a number of parents who are still looking for their missing children. They are neither in the list of the dead, neither are they in the list of the rescued. I don't know the government efforts to address that.
I'll invite the the Principal Secretary for the National Treasury, Dr. Suke is here to answer the question on freezing of accounts, the Attorney General, and then my colleague, Cabinet Secretary for Defense.
Thank you. Let me start by saying that the actions that were taken yesterday are fully consistent with international law and domestic law, and especially consistent with the UN Security Council resolution on the financing of terrorism, and of course consistent with our law on prevention of terrorism. For the first time yesterday, we produced a list of entities and persons that may have facilitated terrorism acts. Now, based on the law, international law as well as our law, this is what we call a local list. There's an international list which we also get, and the last time we got it was in March. And once we get that list, we circulate it to the financial regulatory bodies, and the process is then they freeze the assets of persons or entities included in that list. Since we didn't have a local list until yesterday, this local list has now been gazetted. The process now would be to freeze the assets of persons involved who are alleged to have been financing terrorism. And this is, in regard to the question as to whether this is specific to Garissa or more general, this is more a list for general terrorism financing. Of course, once these accounts have been frozen, there will now be an intensive investigations to see whether, in fact, these suspicious transactions that have been noted by the Financial Reporting Center are indeed to finance terrorism. Now, we hope that is an investigation that can be done quite quickly, and then from there, a decision will be made as to how to proceed going forward.
My colleague, Cabinet Secretary Macharia, will respond on the students who have not been identified.
I think that's an issue which all of us are taking very, very seriously. As you heard from the statement, we still got 14 students whose bodies have not been identified. And we believe that that question you have raised is valid, but we shall be able to answer it comprehensively after we finish the process of identifying the bodies today. That's why we are pushing it very hard. We've been actually having pathologists working overnight since Saturday, and I believe by the end of today, the balance of 48 bodies which have not been identified will be identified. That way, I think it will give rest to the parents who are waiting, because I think the reference to missing students could actually be connected to the 14 bodies which are yet to be identified. So you wait until maybe end of the day today or tomorrow, we shall be able to respond to that question.
I'm not sure that I understood the question very clearly, but let me try my best. I thought that what you sought to know is how the existing litigation between the Police Oversight Authority and the Police Service Commission and the State Law Office could potentially impact on the recruitment of police officers that His Excellency the President has directed should be done expeditiously. I want to refresh your memory that this was a litigation between state agencies. The Police Service Commission is a state agent, the Police Oversight Authority is a state agent, and the State Law Office, needless to say, is a state agent. We were dissatisfied by the order of the court, which order directed that the entire process of recruitment should start afresh. We took the view that what the court ought to have done is to interfere only with those areas where there were complaints. And as the judgment will show, in the majority of cases, there was no complaint. And we went to the Court of Appeal. I filed an appeal myself, asking the Court of Appeal to remove those orders that affected recruitment where there had been no complaint. That appeal has been heard. We are grateful that it was heard reasonably expeditiously, and a judgment is pending. What is going on right now is that there is commencing very shortly a three-way discussion between the Police Service Commission, the Inspector General of Police, IPOA itself, the Oversight Board, and the State Law Office to find a way of fast-tracking the recruitment in a manner consistent with the wishes and the directive of His Excellency the President, and in a manner that is consistent with the findings already made. So we are saying that nothing will be done which will not involve fairly extensive consultations, and nothing will be done that will compromise the directive of His Excellency the President, which every rightful thinking Kenyan would concede is made because of what confronts our nation at this moment in time. My colleague,
I think two questions were put to me regarding the Garissa operations. I think it would be inappropriate in a press conference such as this to go into the details of an operation, but I want to make this broad statement that as the Kenya Defence Forces, we discharged our constitutional mandate to support the authorities in Garissa and the National Police in security emergency. We'll continue to be supportive whenever we're required to do so in the defense of our country and in support of the civil authority. With regard to what we are doing as a government to bolster the war against terror, I think you are aware that a lot is being done. Recently, we amended our security laws to strengthen the legal framework to facilitate better coordination in the war against terror. We are equipping our police and have been doing so over the past 2 years to improve their mobility and their effectiveness. As you know, we are also mooting and have started the process of securing our border through building barriers on certain sections of that border. As the military, under my ministry, we continue to disrupt and dismantle Al-Shabaab camps and capabilities in Somalia. We also intend very soon to roll out an anti-radicalization program to deal with issues of recruitment, issues of radicalization, issues dealing with the building up in the minds of our young people, thoughts regarding violent extremism. These are a plethora. There are a plethora of initiatives that are taking place and that are in place and that we are implementing. I want us to be clear. We intend to remain persistent, dedicated in the efforts to defeat our enemies and to protect the people of our country. I thank you.
Yeah, again, along that efforts that we are making as government to deal with this issue of not just security but even the radicalization of our youth, I'd like to invite my colleague Anu Egoro to make a brief comment on the efforts that are targeted at the youth in the country as one way also of addressing these issues.
Thank you, Fred. I think also to just clarify what the government has been doing with regard to ensuring that we're dealing with the challenge that we find ourselves in with regard to the youth. We're all familiar with the National Youth Service program that we have initiated. We're in the first year of its implementation. One of the things that the National Youth Service is intended to do is to start dealing with the problem of radicalization. We were piloting it here in the slum upgrading program in Kibera, and we have moved to other parts of our urban centers. At the end of the month, you will see that we'll be rolling out to other parts of the country, and that program is particularly designed to also deal with matters of radicalization. We incorporate learning as part of the program for national service, and for every serviceman that comes out of the National Youth Service, they work with about 10 youth young men and women in the community to ensure that we inculcate in them the importance of patriotism, civic duty, humanitarianism, and ensuring that we're actually starting to take the space that has been taken by the agents that have been used for radicalization. So the government has been doing quite a lot to deal with these issues, but maybe in the spirit of collective responsibility, we should say that we cannot say that there is a country that can fully shield itself from terrorism. I think what we have said in the statement is that we also, as Kenyan citizens, need to do our part to ensure that we're giving the information where necessary, and where the youth are concerned, all the programs, and government incorporates all the programs that are necessary to strengthen the direct initiatives that are done by the security. Thank you.
Okay, I'll attempt to answer the question that was asked on the pledge that was made and is made after every terrorist attack. And let me say this, fellow Kenyans, that in fact there is no country, there is no government that can tell you with certainty that there will never be another terrorist attack on their soil. None whatsoever. Not ours, not the more developed countries, not those that have had many more attacks than we have. There is absolutely no country, no self-respecting country that can actually stand up and tell you that there will never be an attack. What we can do and what we are doing is to make sure that we put measures in place, that we keep improving our capabilities, that we keep improving our capacities, that we recruit more, that we create awareness, that we address the issues of the youth, that we try and get as much information as we can to deal with issues of recruitment, that we address issues that relate to institutions of learning, look at them, see whether there are any messages in there that could be disruptive of our way of life. And I think that every government has a responsibility towards its citizens, towards its way of life, towards its freedoms, its liberty, the protection of all that. But there's absolutely no way that anybody can tell you that there will not be another attack. We can just continue working hard to make sure that we limit any disruptions. We can work very, very hard to diminish, as my colleague Rachel has said, the assets of those that want to injure our country, that want to hurt us. You know that there was 9/11, and after that there was Boston, and there have been shootings in schools, and there have been others in kindergartens. There have been others in airports. So there's really no way that we can tell you with certainty that Kenya will never suffer from attack again.
In an interview with an international media house, you said Kenya has been receiving intelligence support. from Western countries. But I remember just hours before the attack, our head of state thrashed an intelligence report that gave advisory.
Well, that's actually not correct. It's not correct at all. The only issue that we addressed to the government was travel advisories. And I tell you, we will continue addressing that because it's injurious to our economy, it's injurious to our tourism, it's injurious to everything, to our national development, our growth. So we will continue talking about travel advisories. And by the way, I don't think that that is the best way to support your allies and your partners and your friends. Because what you do, sorry. Yeah, because, well, I'm sorry,
Go on.
Yeah, hello? Yeah. Because actually what you do is you make the terrorists feel that they have won. We must tell them that they have not won, that we are going to stick together, that we are all going to come together, that our international allies will support our economic development, that they will not issue advisories against the presence of their people in our country. And so that we will continue addressing, my brother. On intelligence reports, as far as the international media that I addressed is concerned, we did not discuss intelligence reports. What we did was we talked about which countries were supportive of our efforts. And I said these countries were supportive of efforts. We exchange information, we exchange intelligence. And you know what? There's absolutely no way that you'll ever receive intelligence that is totally actionable and that's totally usable. So we must be very, very clear, when we are discussing these issues.
The advisory was based on an intelligence report.
Let's give a chance to other reporters also to ask a question, please. Let's take
by northeastern, the question of refugees by northeastern leaders demanding that they be taken across the border, and then the issue of Garissa University, CS education. There's a word that it should be closed permanently. I don't know your position.
On the refugees, I think that's an issue, a request that has been made to government by the leaders of the 3 counties of Wajir, Mandera and Garissa. It's an issue that's being looked at. We're looking at the ramifications. We are looking at the time frame within which this should be done. So it's actually something that's ongoing. It's under discussion. And therefore, we can't with certainty tell you what is going to happen.
All right. Professor Kemenyi will respond to the question on Garissa, and I think we should bring this to a close.
Thank you very much for that question. As you are aware, and we have said it in our statement, we have closed Garissa University College indefinitely. As to whether the students will return to the same college or not, we have answered that question in the sense that we have said all students who have been there will be distributed in the mother university, that is Moi University. Our intention is not to return any one of those students there, primarily because of the trauma they have gone through. Finally, as to whether we should do away with that college completely is a matter we need to consult, and I cannot give you the answer now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. And we will continue interacting when opportunities arise. Okay.
I just needed to know, it's more of what is happening in Chiromo. The families of the...
Sorry, we cannot hear you, yeah.
Sorry. My name is Ruth, I work for Nation FM. Yes. Mine is more of what is happening in Chiromo. Oh, okay. I just needed to know, the families of the victims are camping there. It's really a traumatizing experience for them, for those who have been there. I just needed to know, why haven't we seen any senior person in government other than the health CS going there to at least share their pain? Yeah, even the Kenya Red Cross is asking for food stuff.
You say we have not been there to Red Cross? Huh? So you say you haven't seen us? So anyway, let me just comment with regard to what is happening in Chiromo, because as you know, it's a matter of national concern to everybody, including our leaders. Some people have been asking why we have not released the bodies to the families. But I think I said it before, there's a big risk to do so before we complete the process. because you saw 2 or 3 families claiming the same body. So if you are to release some bodies and then they are the wrong ones, actually you have committed more distress to both families. So we thought to fast track the process, get the process completed by end of day today, and then give these families the coffins, we have dressed the bodies and the transport, plus the 100,000 shillings. Then they can actually now go and bury, effective from tomorrow. So hopefully by tomorrow you see the situation changing very quickly.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We will continue interacting. We have other businesses going on. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Well, that has been a briefing by the interministerial team that has been various departments of government and interministerial team that has been handling operations since the Garissa attack last Thursday. Some key things that have been said there. Today they say out of the people who were killed, the students, 65 were female and 77 male. Out of the 47, out of the ones that have been injured, 47 have been discharged and 28 are still undergoing medical care. 100,000 has been pledged by the government to be given to each family once they identify their bodies, and they will cater for the funeral expenses of all the students. The other issue that is very